My name is Olivia Gregory, and I was 33 years old when my ex-boyfriend learned the difference between losing someone and losing control of them. Ethan Mercer and I had been together for almost 4 years. For the last 11 months, we lived together in my apartment in Austin, Texas. The lease was mine. Most of the furniture was mine. Somehow, the emotional weather in that apartment still belonged to him. Ethan ended things 6 weeks before everything exploded. Not during a fight, not after therapy, not after some honest midnight conversation where two people finally admitted the truth. He did it over brunch in South Congress while I was cutting into pancakes. He looked at me across the table and said, "I think I've outgrown us." Outgrown us. Like I was a jacket he had worn too long. Like 4 years of loyalty had become clutter. He said he loved me, but not in the way he was supposed to love someone forever. He said I was safe, and safe had started to feel small. Then he said he needed to discover who he was without me. I asked one question. Is there someone else? His face changed before he answered. Then he sighed and said, "Her name is Camille. She's just someone from the co-working space." Just someone. Someone who understood his ambition. Someone who challenged him. Someone who made him feel seen. I paid the check myself, left 20% because humiliation does not cancel manners, and walked to my SUV without raising my voice. Ethan followed me into the parking lot, suddenly irritated that I wasn't falling apart for him. "You're being cold," he snapped. I looked at him and said, "Ethan, you broke up with me in public because you didn't want me to react. Congratulations, it worked." That made him angrier than screaming would have. Over the next week, he moved his things into Camille's downtown condo. I helped pack the kitchen items he claimed were his. I folded shirts while something inside me went completely quiet. I did not beg. I did not compete. I did not ask what she had that I didn't. I already knew. Novelty. Some people mistake novelty for destiny. After he left, I changed the Wi-Fi password, removed him from my streaming accounts, and told the leasing office he no longer lived there. He called it petty. I called it accurate. Money had always been tension between us. My rent was $1,650. Utilities averaged $210. Ethan paid $500 a month because he said he was saving for a future business launch. I covered groceries most weeks and never kept score until he started telling people I abandoned him financially. That hurt more than the breakup. Not because of the money, but because I had receipts for every quiet sacrifice he later renamed cruelty. For 6 weeks, I rebuilt my life like someone rebuilding after a fire. Gym before work, meal prep on Sundays, basketball with my younger sister Natalie on Thursdays, long drives with no music. I got promoted to regional operations director at the logistics company where I worked, which came with a $9,000 raise and more pressure than I probably needed during a breakup. I accepted anyway. Then I met Daniel Reyes. He was 29, a physical therapist, calm in a way that didn't feel empty. We met at a friend's birthday dinner in Round Rock. He asked real questions. He listened to the answers. When I told him I had just gotten out of something messy, he said, "Then we can take it slow." That sentence felt like clean air. After our third date, I posted one photo. Nothing dramatic, no kissing, just Daniel and me at a food truck park, holding paper plates and laughing because my taco had fallen apart in my hands. 20 minutes later, Ethan texted, "So that's the downgrade?" I stared at the message with no anger, only confirmation. Then another came. "You'll come crawling back when he gets bored of playing therapist to your wounded ego." I typed one sentence. "Watch me move on." Then I blocked him. That should have been the end. It wasn't. At 6:42 the next morning, I woke to 40 missed calls from unknown numbers, 3 Instagram requests, and 1 voicemail from Ethan crying so hard he could barely speak. Apparently, Camille was not who he thought she was. Apparently, he had made a mistake. Apparently, seeing me with another man made him realize we had a once-in-a-lifetime connection. Funny how that connection only became visible after I stopped waiting. I screenshotted everything and went to work. No reply. No closure coffee. No emotional speech. 4 days later, the flying monkeys arrived. First was Harper, Ethan's best friend, who had never liked me unless I was paying for group dinners. She texted from a new number. "Olivia, he's having a breakdown. Blocking him right now is cruel. He just needs one conversation." I replied once. He left me for Camille. I accepted it. He insulted Daniel and I blocked him. Please don't contact me about this again. She sent 3 paragraphs about empathy. I didn't read them. Then came Olivia, Ethan's older sister. She found me on LinkedIn and said Ethan wasn't eating, wasn't sleeping, and blaming himself. She said 4 years deserved closure. I wrote back, Ethan got closure when he ended our relationship over brunch and moved into another woman's condo. I hope he gets help, but I am not his help. 2 days later, she replied, I didn't know about Camille. Of course she didn't. Ethan had told everyone we mutually drifted apart because I was emotionally unavailable. That was his favorite phrase. It meant I didn't panic on command. Day 5. Ethan showed up at my apartment. My Ring camera caught all of it. He stood there in jeans and one of my old hoodies, holding coffee in one hand and a tote bag in the other, like he was arriving for a normal Saturday. He knocked. Waited. Knocked again. I was inside. I didn't answer. He leaned toward the camera. Olivia, I know you're home. Your car's outside. My stomach tightened, not because I missed him, but because he still believed access to me belonged to him. I unblocked him long enough to send one message. Do not come to my apartment again. If you need to discuss remaining belongings, email me. Do not contact Daniel. His reply came instantly. So he's there? Daniel wasn't. We hadn't even been to each other's homes yet because normal people can date without turning it into a hostage crisis. I blocked Ethan again. 10 minutes later, he left the tote bag by my door. Inside were framed photos, an old birthday card I wrote 3 years earlier, and the silver bracelet I bought him in San Antonio. On top was a note. I can't carry our memories alone. I took pictures, boxed everything, and mailed it to his sister with tracking. It cost $18.74, worth every penny. That night, Ethan posted a black screen on Instagram with white text about people replacing you instead of healing. 3 people sent it to me, which is how vague posts do their little community outreach program. I ignored it. Later, Daniel called. I need to ask something uncomfortable, he said. Is your ex dangerous or just dramatic? I told him everything. Camille, the texts, the apartment visit, the tote bag. Daniel was quiet, then said, I like you, Olivia, but I don't want to become someone's target. I swallowed hard and said, You can step back. He answered, I didn't say that. That was when I knew I liked him more than I meant to. 3 weeks later, Ethan stopped acting heartbroken and started acting strategic. The first sign was a Venmo request for $620 with the note, half of shared life expenses you suddenly abandoned. I stared at my phone for a full 10 seconds before declining it. Then I added one sentence. You moved out voluntarily 6 weeks before this request. No balance owed. 10 minutes later, another request appeared. $1,200. The note simply said, "Emotional damages." I actually laughed. Not because it was funny, but because sometimes your brain turns absurdity into comedy so you don't fully process how disturbing it is. The next morning, my receptionist called my office line. "There's a man here named Ethan with your lunch." I froze immediately because I hadn't ordered lunch. Then she added, "He says he's your emergency contact and needs to speak with you privately because your mother's sick." That was the first moment my hands actually went cold. My mother lived in Plano and had texted me a picture of her garden less than 2 hours earlier. I called her immediately. She answered on the second ring, confused but perfectly fine. When I hung up, something inside me hardened. I told reception Ethan was not allowed upstairs and asked security to escort him out if he refused to leave. Apparently, he cried in the lobby. Apparently, he told everyone I was punishing him for loving me. One of my coworkers, Marcus, saw the entire thing. Marcus wasn't dramatic. That's why I listened carefully when he stepped into my office afterward and said quietly, "Olivia, you need documentation before he gets more creative." He was right. That evening, I filed a police report. Not because I thought Ethan would be arrested, because I wanted a paper trail. Texts, call logs, ring footage, Venmo screenshots, workplace incident, everything. The officer taking the report paused when I explained the fake emergency about my mother. "That part matters," he said. "That's escalation." I already knew. 2 days later, Daniel received an Instagram message from a blank account. "Do you know she was still sleeping with Ethan when she met you?" False. Lazy false, too. Daniel and I hadn't even kissed until our second date, and Ethan had already been living with Camille by then. Daniel screenshotted the message, forwarded it to me, then blocked the account without drama. No interrogation. No suspicion. No emotional performance. Just evidence. That somehow made me trust him even more. Then Ethan's mother called me. Linda Mercer had always been kind to me in that polished church lady way. Birthday cards, warm hugs, asking if I'd eaten enough. I answered because part of me still respected her. She started softly. "Olivia, honey, Ethan's spiraling. He knows he made mistakes, but 4 years is a long time. Could you maybe just meet him for coffee?" I leaned back slowly in my chair. "Linda, did he tell you he pretended my mother was sick to get into my workplace?" Silence. Then quietly, "No." "Did he tell you he messaged Daniel from a fake account?" Another silence. "No." I closed my eyes for a second before saying carefully, "I filed a police report yesterday. I'm not trying to hurt Ethan. I'm trying to make him stop." Linda exhaled shakily, like someone absorbing a truth she didn't want. Then she said something I didn't expect. "Send me what you have." So, I did. Not everything, just enough. The ring screenshots, the Venmo requests, the workplace report. 20 minutes later, she texted me. "I'm so sorry. I'm speaking to his father tonight." Unexpected ally. Didn't see that coming. For 5 days, things went quiet. Quiet enough that I started believing maybe the worst had passed. Then came the coffee shop incident. It was Saturday morning near Zilker. Daniel and I were sitting outside because the weather was perfect for once. He was teasing me because I still drank coffee like someone trying to survive finals week. I remember laughing. Actually laughing. That was the moment Ethan appeared. He walked toward us wearing the dark green button-up I bought him for our 3rd anniversary. Not coincidence. Deliberate. His eyes went straight to Daniel first. Then to me. "So," he said slowly, "this is him." Daniel calmly set his coffee down, but didn't speak. I stood immediately. "Ethan, leave." He smiled in that terrible, controlled way people do when they've rehearsed a scene in their head too many times. "I just wanted to congratulate you both," he said, loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. "It must feel amazing building happiness on somebody else's pain." People started looking over. Daniel remained seated, calm enough that it almost irritated Ethan more. I said quietly, "You need to go. Right now." Instead, Ethan raised his voice. "Ask her why she still kept our photos. Ask her why she promised she'd always come home to me." Then, Daniel spoke for the first time. "She mailed your belongings back with tracking." That hit harder than yelling would have. Ethan's entire face changed, because suddenly he realized Daniel knew details, real details, not rumors, not manipulation, facts. He looked at me like he was seeing the relationship clearly for the first time. Not emotional. Documented. Cornered people hate documentation. Then Ethan grabbed Daniel's coffee off the table and threw it downward, hard enough that it splashed across Daniel's sleeve and my jeans. Gasps broke out around us. The manager rushed outside immediately. I stepped back and pulled out my phone. "I'm calling the police." That's when Ethan started crying. Not gradually, instantly. Like a switch flipped. "You're seriously doing this to me?" he shouted. "After everything I gave you?" 3 people nearby were already recording. The manager informed Ethan he needed to leave immediately. Ethan refused until police were mentioned again. By the time officers arrived, he was sitting at another table, crying into his hands, while strangers stared at him. The manager gave me security footage voluntarily. Daniel had a stained sleeve and witness statements. The responding officer added the incident to my existing report and issued Ethan a trespass warning for the cafe. Monday morning, Natalie connected me with an attorney named Cameron Walsh. Cameron reviewed everything in silence for nearly 20 minutes before saying, "You have more evidence than most people get." That afternoon, he sent Ethan a formal cease and desist letter. No further contact with me. No contact with Daniel. No workplace visits. No fake accounts. No third-party harassment. $450. Most satisfying money I'd ever spent. Ethan responded by emailing me one line. "You're making me look crazy." I forwarded it directly to Cameron. His reply came 30 seconds later. He's doing that himself. After that, the silence felt different. Not peaceful.
Temporary.
Like standing in the eye of a storm, waiting to see whether the walls would hold. 2 months later, Ethan violated the cease and desist 3 separate times. First, he sent flowers to my office with a card that read, "To the woman who forgot us." Then he left a handwritten letter on my windshield outside my gym. Finally, he created another fake account and messaged Daniel saying he was just a rebound with better timing. That was enough. Cameron filed for a protective order in Travis County. The hearing happened on a gray Thursday morning. I wore a navy blouse and carried a folder so thick it barely closed. Text screenshots, ring footage, Venmo requests, workplace reports, coffee shop footage, fake accounts, witness statements, everything. Ethan arrived with Harper and his older sister, Olivia. Olivia wouldn't even look at me. Harper looked furious at the world. Ethan looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically, just emotionally stripped without an audience to manage. His attorney argued heartbreak made people irrational. He claimed Ethan never intended harm and simply struggled watching me move on publicly so quickly. Then the judge asked one question. Who ended the relationship? Silence. The judge reviewed Ethan's old text message saying, "I made the right choice leaving. I need someone who matches my energy." She read it twice. Then she reviewed the fake emergency at my workplace, the fake Instagram accounts, the cafe footage. Everything changed after that. Ethan cried quietly during the hearing, but for the first time, nobody rushed to save him. The judge granted a 1-year protective order. No contact with me. No contact with Daniel. No coming near my apartment, workplace, gym, or Daniel's clinic. No third-party communication through friends or family. Outside the courtroom, Ethan's mother stood near the elevators, looking exhausted. She hugged him first. Then she walked toward me slowly. "I'm sorry, Olivia," she whispered. "We should have seen this sooner." I nodded once. I hope he gets help. And I meant it. I just no longer wanted to be the person sacrificing herself to provide it. 3 weeks later, Camille's boyfriend messaged me one sentence. I honestly didn't know what he was like. I never replied. Because some chapters do not need bonus scenes. Life became quiet again after that. Real quiet. Daniel and I kept taking things slowly. One night he came over for dinner and I completely ruined the salmon. He still ate it and smiled. "We can work on seasoning before commitment," he joked. That made me laugh harder than it should have. At work, the promotion stabilized. I stopped checking parking lots before getting out of my car. My mother came down from Plano and helped me buy new curtains because Ethan had picked the old ones, and suddenly I hated looking at them. Thursday basketball with Natalie continued. Sleep finally returned. Ethan's social media slowly shifted from heartbreak quotes to silence, then private, then gone. People still ask whether I regret posting that photo with Daniel. No. The photo didn't create Ethan's behavior. It revealed it. That's the lesson I keep returning to. Some people don't miss you when you're gone. They miss knowing you were still waiting for them. Ethan thought he could leave me on a shelf while he explored another life, then come back the second he felt lonely. When I refused to stay abandoned and available, he called it cruelty. It wasn't cruelty. It was self-respect. Love wants peace. Control wants access. And the moment you stop feeding control, it starts screaming. I stopped feeding it. Best decision I ever made.